Hi, my name is Miss Ruth, and I'm going to be continuing the lesson plan that Teacher Marissa gave in connection to the warm-up that we just finished. Second graders, we just finished a special warm-up, and it got our bodies ready to learn and ready to move. But did you know it's also connecting to our lesson today? Because not only were you doing some movements, but you were also telling a story. You might be thinking, how did I tell a story by moving my body? Well, we were following Teacher Marissa, and we know that she was using different parts of her warm-up. In the beginning, we know that we woke up and we were stretching, and we know that in the middle of the story, we were talking about the different ways that we were growing, and at the end of the story, we know that we were all done growing, we were ready to go and ready to learn. We were telling a story. And today we're going to be learning about how we can tell a story and build our own stories, and also how we can use our own bodies to help us tell the story. So, to give you an example again, I'm going to be telling you a quick story, and I want you to this time think about the different parts of the story. And let me tell you first, there are 3 parts of the story. There's the beginning, the middle, and the end. And here I drew a flower, just like in our Bloom and Dance story. And this flower has 3 petals that help us remember the beginning, the middle, and the end that helps build a story. So I want you to be listening to my story. I also have a very fun song that I'm going to be playing in the background of my story. It helps me tell the story, and the music can help you listen to the story a little better. So I'm going to start the music. Oh, and I'm going to tell you about a story about the other day when I decided that I was going to make some cookies. Let me tell you that first, I decided I was going to make some cookies because I was so hungry. And I was rubbing my tummy because I was so hungry. And I decided I was in the mood for some cookies. So I went to my cupboards, and my cupboards were very high, so I stretched and I grabbed my flour and my sugar and all of my ingredients. And all my pans and my bowls and my mixing spoons were so low, so I had to stretch my body and I had to gather all of my utensils and my bowls and my pans. After I gathered everything together, I put my ingredients into the bowl and I mixed it all up. And when I was ready, I put a pan out and I scooped my dough into the pan and I put it in the oven. Now, as I was waiting for the oven, I decided I was going to do some stretches while I was waiting, and I stretched up into the sky, I stretched low, and then I was all done waiting, and the oven was ready. I opened the oven, I looked inside, and my cookies were all done, and I was able to eat some cookies and share some cookies with my friend. That was the end of my story. I'm going to pause my music. Now, in my story, it was a very short story, but I used a couple of things. Maybe you noticed there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. I also used some details and some movements in my story. Can you help me remember some of the sequencing? That's another way that we can say the order that I used in the story. I know that first, you're right. First, I decided I was hungry and that I was going to make cookies. Secondly, I gathered all of my ingredients and I made the cookies and mixed it all together. And what happened at the end of the story? Maybe you can remember that I ate some of the cookies and I shared some cookies with my friends. Now, if I mixed up these orders of the story and I said that I ate the cookies before making the cookies in the bowl, do you think that would have made sense? No. We know that we have to follow the right sequence, the right order. So today, my friends, we are going to be making our own stories. And I'm going to help you a little bit by giving you a card, and it's going to help you get ideas for your story. This one says planting in a garden with friends. I'm also going to help you by putting you in groups. And so you are going to be working with some of your friends in this class, and I'm going to put you in different groups, and each group is going to get a story prompt card. And this card is going to give you an idea of what your story should be about. But it's going to be your job to make some special details in your story, to make sure your story has 3 different parts, and to make sure you have some movements to help you tell the story. So I'm going to get the groups ready, and I'm going to get you guys ready to create your stories. Some things you have to remember: make sure you have enough space to move with your friends. Make sure that every friend has a turn in creating something in the story, creating a movement in the story, and make sure that you remember all of the details and the sequencing and the order of the story that helps make it interesting. And at the end, we're going to have a time for you to share your story in the beginning of the class. So make sure you prepare telling the story, and make sure you go over the order of the story that you created. We're going to have such a great time telling stories, and I'm so excited to hear your story. And at the end of sharing our stories, I'm excited to talk about how it was for you when you told the story, and how the movements help you tell the story, and how the different sequencing, the order of your story helped you tell the story too. Hello teachers, if you are watching this video, this is how me and teacher Marissa decided that we were going to approach this activity and lesson plan. We decided to incorporate ELA standards of creating a story with correct sequencing. As you can tell in the lesson that we showed in the example, I used the word sequencing very often, as this is a term that is one of their goals. And I also use order of story to help them learn that ELA standard of telling a story in the correct order. I also incorporated movements and dance into this so that students can tell the story by using movements in their body. And this is another way to reach the dance standards of incorporating movements in sequencing and telling a story through movements of your body. Some approaches and some ways that we decided to incorporate in the story and how to approach this lesson plan was to, of course, you saw we did the warm-up to help students get interested in telling a story and movement all together. And then I gave a short explanation, and then I modeled the story by creating my own story to tell to students, and then I prompted students to create their own story. In the lesson plan that you can view, you can see how you would scaffold this assignment. You would walk around and make sure that students are all working together, having enough space to move. And in the adaptations to the plan, you can also see how you can approach this lesson of adapting it to your group sizes, or if you want to stretch this lesson out till different days, that is also possible. So you can also see that in the different pages of our website as well. I hope you enjoy this lesson plan, and I hope you can apply it to your classroom as well.